Hello, this is Lance again. Now, today I did mention earlier on, I was going to discuss the elementary effects of how the body works. I am not going to a great deal on anatomy and the naming of muscles and confuse you, which is things you can get out of a book. What I'm trying to do is to get you to understand what's taking place in your body and how it moves and what holds it together. So, coming with that, first of all, remember you're a skeleton. And as a skeleton, if you didn't have your muscles, you didn't have your tendons, and you didn't have your ligaments holding you together, you'd end up in a pile of bones on the floor. So that's the first thing you've got to realize. What's holding your skeleton in shape? Muscles, tendons, ligaments, etc. So you have this thing. Now just picture for a moment, there's your skeleton. You've got muscles on this side. You've got muscle on this side. Now each of them in equal proportions when you're standing in neutral are holding you in the position, the anatomical position in which your body's supposed to be, your posture. Now for a moment imagine if this side tightened, contracted or shortened, and this side was not strong enough to hold it, and it gave way on a permanent basis, you can see what would happen to your structure of your bones. This part would start pulling there, and you'd have scoliosis, lifted hips, damaged shoulders. So it is that balance of your muscular body, so that when this muscle contracts, this muscle lengthens. When this muscle contracts, this muscle lengthens. A muscle can only contract. There's nothing on earth can make it lengthen, make it push a bone back. It contracts by pulling on bones. The opposite muscle pulls it back into shape. So now when you understand that part of the anatomy, you realize that every time you make a movement, your muscles must work in sync, and also they must be balanced. This balance is the important part. So when I say to you, you've got muscles which hold your upper back, there's muscles which hold your chest, abdominals, your back, your glutes, your thighs, every part of your body has got muscles, and they're all tied up with and tied together and balanced. And you start throwing this balance out from a very young age. When you start carrying your school bag on your shoulder, on one shoulder permanently, you start distorting the skeleton. Because muscle is like that plasticine. If you leave it on the thing, you keep working it, it'll lengthen. Stretch, stretch, stretch. So I'm going to show you for a moment that a difference in some movements we're going to make about how the muscles work. And when you can understand that, the simplistic idea is that you must try to understand, as you can know all the names in the world, it is wise for you to know where muscles attach, where muscles start, the origin of a muscle and the attachment of a muscle. So you can know which bones it pulls, which way it does pull. So now what we're going to do is we're going to sort of have a look, and with Lynette again, and just see if I can possibly show you of how the body does work a little bit. Now remember in the early stages, I showed you to some extent of she lifting her, all her weight goes onto her left leg, and she lifts this leg up, right? Now the hip had to be tight and hold the muscle in, solid, and then she lifts again. Now right, so that's where her frame now is taking the strain. The left leg is taking the strain. This one is all the flexor muscles that pull the thigh up. Her back and shoulders and abdominals are holding it, right? Now if I said to her, bend your knees slightly, right? Now do the same thing again. It becomes much more difficult, isn't it? Much more difficult. You can relax. Why? Because now what you've done is the very thing I'm trying to get you not to do. You've engaged single muscle action. Most of the pressure has gone onto your quads. I think that's where you feel most of it, on the quads. Because now you're putting force upon that. You haven't got a longitudinal latitude, there isn't that pressure of locking. You're now using pure muscle to hold your body up. So you have to use these things to a certain amount of knowing where and what you can do. If I said to Lynette, now when I want you to lift your left knee, put your weight onto your left leg, lift your right, and as you lift it, come up on your toe. Now that's hard enough to do that as it is. Do it again. Up. Right. Okay, good. Now bring that. Now do the same thing with your knees bent. Come up on your toe and lift. Was that harder or easier?
Well, it's stronger.
That's right. It was stronger. It was easier to do it that way, because now you're using your calf muscle, which doesn't not affect. But because you use your quad and tighten your hamstrings, it's easier to do the knee bend. So certain actions are easier in a bent stage. Certain actions are easier in a completely tightened stage. And I hope you understand that part of it. Now, same thing applies when you're doing that diagonals. Your right hand down towards you, come up, and that. Now, she flipped her toe there without flipping her hips. So she did a separate action, which was absolutely useless. So she didn't coordinate her movements. Do it slowly. Go down, let your head fall out, come up, your hips turn, your body turns in a straight. That's better. Do you get the difference? You don't use it individually. You're trying to lock your body into an elongated state where all the diagonals are tight. This is very important for you to understand. Was there anything else I'd forgotten?
No, I think that was it.
Was that it? Right. So I hope that that's given you some idea. Now, the next thing I'm going to talk about...
No, just slight squat, body forward and lift. Oh, we did that.
The other thing I'm going to talk about next is, which is very important, is the effects of your scapula and the serous anterior muscles. Most of these people with wing scapulars, people that have scapular problems, shoulder problems, is because when they do the plank or when they do push-ups, they have not strengthened the anterior serratus muscles. They're the things which stabilize your scapula and allows your shoulders to remain firm. So I want to take another video to be able to explain that to you, and in the course of it, I will also explain other muscles, the effect on the back, etc. So we're gradually working now to the more advanced stages. This is Lance speaking to you, and thank you very much indeed. Bye.